Humiliation was our shadow, dogging Eli, Sean, and me, Zach, through the halls like a predator we couldn't shake. Scrawny, with scruffy beards and long hair, we were easy marks, our sharp minds no match for the jock's relentless cruelty. Each taunt carved deeper, stripping us raw, and we were too timid to swing back. That day, the breaking point hit. Two meatheads grabbed me, their laughter cold as they upended me into a trash can, head first. Garbage clung to my hair as I scrambled out, the crowd's jeers a knife in my gut, their smirks searing into me as they strutted away. It wasn't the worst of their pranks, just the latest, but it lit a fuse. We were done being prey. By the time Eli and Sean found me, I was brushing off the last of the trash, my face hot with shame. We trudged to my car in silence, the weight of another defeat pressing on us. Then, one of us, I can't recall, who floated an idea so wild it felt like a fever dream. At first, we scoffed, dismissing it as absurd. But as we stood by my beat-up sedan, our eyes met, and slow conspiratorial smiles spread across our faces. We were done being victims. This plan, outrageous as it was, sparked something in us, a reckless, desperate hope. We debated it with sharp, biting humor, knowing we'd tried everything else and failed. With nothing left to lose, we agreed to take the plunge, even if it meant stepping into uncharted territory. Since my house was closest, we decided I'd be the one to pitch it to my mom. My friends, cowards to the core, left the task to me, and I wasn't thrilled about it. After that trash can stunt, though, I was beyond caring about embarrassment. I just wanted something to work. By the time I pulled into the driveway, I'd rehearsed a speech, every word crafted to convince her. Mom took one look at me as I walked in, her eyes softening with that familiar mix of pity and resolve. She knew it had happened again. I showered, scrubbing away the day's grime, and found her in the kitchen. My voice cracked as I recounted the trash can incident, tears pricking at my eyes. Then I laid out our plan, watching her face go still. Unreadable. She didn't interrupt, just listened. As I stumbled through the why of it all, she already understood the years of torment driving us to this. Eli, Sean, and I were cut from the same cloth, lanky, bookish, with long hair and patchy beards that did little to toughen our image. Our brains, though, were our weapons combined. Our IQs could outshine anyone on campus. But that only made us bigger targets, our effortless grades a silent taunt to those who thrived on muscle and bravado. Mom leaned back, her gaze distant, then sat up with a glint in her eye that could mean trouble or triumph. "Okay," she said, her voice low but firm. "I'll help you, but you do it my way. You'll need to commit, act like girls, walk like girls, talk like girls, maybe even dress the part more than you're imagining. If you want to turn the tables on those boys, you might have to live this fully to get their attention, to really hit them where it hurts. Have you thought about that?" I hadn't, not really. The idea felt like a punch I hadn't braced for. "But," she continued, "I won't help Eli or Sean unless their moms are on board, and they'll need to get their own clothes. Honestly, I think this is a wild idea, but I get why you're doing it. That's the only reason I'm in. First, I'll talk to their mothers, and I want all of you boys and moms to agree to my terms." I nodded, my throat tight, and called the guys. They rushed over, their faces a mix of nerves and defiance. Mom laid out her stance again, and to my surprise, Eli and Sean didn't hesitate. They were in. She got on a conference call with their moms, the conversation stretching long as we sat, fidgeting, in the living room. When she returned, her expression was resolute. "During the break, in less than 10 days, their mothers will be here. That's when we start turning you into girls." She wasn't done. "For now, I need measurements, stripped to your briefs." We stood there, awkward and exposed, as she jotted down numbers with clinical precision. When she finished, Eli and Sean bolted, leaving me alone with Mom. Out of nowhere, she smiled. "You'll make a cute girl, Zach, once we ditch that scruffy goatee you've been nursing since high school. Your dad wasn't much for facial hair either. It'll work in your favor here." "Want to start now or wait for the others?" I shrugged, torn between dread and resignation. There was no good reason to delay, but I wasn't exactly eager. Mom grabbed her purse, ordering me to stay put and be ready when she got back. She returned with bags, her enthusiasm barely contained, but it was late, so she let it slide with a pointed reminder, come straight home from school tomorrow. The next day, I passed the message to Eli and Sean Saturday, 11 a.m., my house, per Mom's orders. We were all wavering, second thoughts creeping in like shadows. Eli finally voiced it, his words sharp with doubt. Then Sean snapped, revealing someone had glued his book bag shut, forcing him to slice it open. His anger reignited our resolve. "This is either the worst idea we've ever had," he growled, "or the biggest mistake we'll ever make." I didn't disagree. "Mom bought a ton of stuff yesterday," I said. "No turning back now," Sean snorted. "We could just say no." "What are they going to do? Force us into dresses?" I shot back. "They could cut off our college funds." That shut us up. We all knew the stakes. Friday afternoon, I got home to find Mom waiting, her smile equal parts warmth and mischief. "You sure about this, Zach, becoming a girl? I froze. No matter how we twisted it, we'd never fit in on campus as we were scrawny, brainy, perpetual outsiders. Mom knew it too. So I took a breath, nodded, and dove in, ready to face whatever came next. The sting of the hair removal cream hit me like a swarm of angry bees, its acrid smell burning my nose as it stripped away every trace of hair from my body. After a shower, my skin felt impossibly smooth, almost alien, and when I scraped off my scruffy goatee with a razor, shaving closer than I ever had, I barely recognized the face staring back at me in the steam-fogged mirror. My hair, freshly washed, squeaked under my fingers, gleaming with a cleanliness I wasn't used to. Wrapped in just a towel, I stepped into my bedroom, where Mom, with a casual flick of her wrist, tossed me a pair of plain white cotton panties. "We're dressing you up today, Zach," she said, her tone matter-of-fact but laced with purpose. "We'll make any tweaks before Eli and Sean get here tomorrow. First, this is a waist nipper. Let's get it on right." She guided me through each step, her voice steady as she explained how the nipper cinched my waist, giving it a subtle curve. Then she led me to her vanity, a cluttered shrine of brushes and powders, and handed me foundation. "Follow my lead," she said, and I did, dabbing and blending under her watchful eye. Foundation smoothed my skin, powder set it, and then came the eye's shadow in soft grays, eyeliner sharp and precise, mascara lengthening lashes I'd never noticed before. Blusher carved out cheekbones I didn't know I had. With each stroke, my face transformed, the mirror reflecting someone new, someone who might just pull this off if luck was on my side. Mom set my hair in rollers, their weight tugging at my scalp, and sent me back to my room. There, she helped me into a bra, stuffing it with soft, flesh-colored gel inserts that jiggled with unnerving realism. A padded panty brief followed, sculpting hips where none existed, then sheer pantyhose that whispered against my legs. When she slipped a dress over my head and zipped it up, the fabric hugged me in ways I'd never felt, soft and constricting all at once. I stepped into low heels, wobbling slightly, and turned to the mirror. The sight stopped me cold. Mom tugged me back to her vanity, removed the rollers, and brushed out my hair until it fell in lustrous waves. "Wow," I whispered, the word slipping out before I could stop it. I didn't look like Zach anymore, not even close. Mom handed me a tube of lipstick, and without thinking, I painted my lips a soft pink, the waxy taste foreign but oddly grounding. Clip-on earrings pinched my lobes, and a delicate pendant necklace settled against my chest. "Now, my new girl needs a name," Mom said, her eyes glinting with mischief. I stammered, caught off guard. I didn't think about it." She tilted her head. "How about Zoe? It's close to Zach, easy to remember, and perfectly feminine." I nodded, testing it in my mind. "Zoe. Okay." She told me to stay dressed all day, and I did. though the absence of pockets left me fumbling, and the bounce of the bra's inserts threw me off with every step. Each glance in a mirror jolted me. My reflection was a stranger, all soft curves and polished features. The dress swished around my knees. The makeup's faint scent clung to me, and yet I couldn't deny it. I didn't hate how I looked. I even liked it, though I'd never admit it to Mom. I blended in, like the girls on campus who moved through crowds unbothered, some even trailed by admirers. Not that I cared about guys, that was just something I noticed. That night, I slept in a silky nightgown, Mom's voice echoing in my head. Get used to it. It wasn't bad, just different. The fabric cool against my skin. Morning came, and we repeated the routine hair, makeup, dress like it was already normal. Over breakfast, I fidgeted, waiting for Eli and Sean. I was dying to see their faces, to know if they'd laugh or freeze when they saw Zoe. If they balked, I'd walk away. But if they didn't, maybe this could work. Maybe it could even be fun. Sean arrived first, his lanky frame slouching up the walk. I opened the door, and his eyes skimmed over me, then snapped back, widening to saucers. He stood there, speechless, as I let him in. Eli and his mom followed, and Eli's reaction mirrored Sean's jaw slack, eyes bugging out. His mom just smiled, a knowing curve to her lips. Mom ushered us into the family room, positioning me like a display model. "Take a good look," she said, her voice firm but warm. Sean's mom arrived late, but when she saw me, she planted a quick kiss on my cheek, her smile bright with approval. Everyone could see I'd pulled it off, but I wasn't so sure about Eli and Sean. Their lanky builds and scruffy faces didn't scream convincing to me, though their moms insisted they'd be fine. I kept my doubts to myself. Then Mom dropped the plan we'd start school as girls after spring break, just weeks away. The timeline hit like a jolt, but the decision was made, and there was no turning back. Our moms huddled in the kitchen, their voices a low hum of plans and promises, leaving Eli, Sean, and me to escape to the patio with cans of soda fizzing in our hands. I didn't even consider the neighbors' prying eyes as I settled into a chair, the dress brushing my thighs. Eli's gaze lingered, his grin half admiring, half disbelieving. "Damn, Zacher. Zoe, you look good. Like, I'd ask you out myself. What name'd you pick?" I sipped my soda, the bubbles sharp on my tongue. "Zoe. Mom said to keep it close to our real names so we don't slip up. You could be Francis, maybe. Sean, you'd make a solid Sierra." Eli wrinkled his nose. "Francis, nah, sounds like my grandma. I'm going with Tessa. That's got some spark." Sean shrugged, popping his can open. "Sierra works for me." They peppered me with questions about the outfit. Did the bra pinch? Were the heels torture? I shook my head, surprised at how natural it felt, the dress light and the gel inserts more odd than uncomfortable. Our talk shifted to logistics, new name badges, updated IDs, the works. Eli and Sean, stuck in the dorms, faced a bigger hurdle. "Dorm life's gonna be a nightmare," Eli muttered. But Sean, who worked in the registrar's office, leaned forward, eyes glinting. "I can swing new ID cards, no problem. Might even get us into the co-ed dorm, rooming together." I didn't have to worry, living at home gave me an edge, but I could see the gears turning in their heads, plotting ways to make this work. They left soon after, and I lingered on the patio, savoring the last of my soda's fizz. Mom joined me, her presence quiet, but heavy with intent. She sat across from me, her eyes searching mine. "Zoe, this isn't going to be as simple as you three think. We get why you're doing this, none of you have ever really fit in, and we see the toll it's taken. That's why we're backing you. But if you pull this off, even for a week, you can't just stop. You'll be Zoe for the long haul. You can't quit because you're sick of rollers or tired of swiping on mascara every morning. And boys, they'll notice you. They'll ask you out. You'll need to think like a girl, move like one, be one, down to how you handle a guy who gets too handsy on a date. This isn't a prank, honey. It's a commitment. No half measures. She leaned back, letting that sink in, then pressed harder. What happens if it works? If people accept you, invite you to parties, treat you like you belong, will you just ditch it all over summer and go back to being Zach, the kid everyone picks on? If you finally get a taste of being popular, even as Zoe, will you want to stop? I don't think you will. Once you start as girls, I'm betting that's how you'll finish 3 years from now, graduating in dresses. And after 3 years living like this, what then? Have you even thought that far? Her words hit like a cold splash, exposing how little we'd planned. None of us had looked beyond the thrill of flipping the script on our tormentors. I swallowed, my lipstick smudging faintly on the soda can. I can handle it, I said, voice steadier than I felt. The boys' part I'm not dating, so that's not an issue. Mom's smile was soft, almost pitying, like I'd just sworn I could outrun a storm. She patted my hand, her head shaking slightly, and a chill crept up my spine, not fear exactly, but a nagging sense that I was stepping off a ledge I couldn't see. I brushed it off, blaming the jitters, but her words clung to me, sharp and unshakable. Mom woke me early, her voice cutting through the haze of sleep. Get dressed, Zoe. We're going shopping. I froze, the idea of stepping out as a girl twisting my stomach into knots. You need to try things on to find what works, she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. Plus, you'll pick what you like. If you can't handle leaving the house to build a wardrobe, how do you expect to walk into school as Zoe? Her logic pinned me like a spotlight, and I grudgingly took the purse she thrust into my hands. We headed to the mall, my heart thudding as I stepped out of the car, heels clicking uncertainly on the pavement. Mom glanced over, her voice calm but firm. You're doing fine, Zoe. Just keep moving. The mall's fluorescent lights felt like a stage, every passerby a potential critic. My discomfort peaked in the lingerie department, a labyrinth of lace and satin that screamed not for me. Mom, unfazed, piled bras, panties, slips, and nightgowns into my arms, adding another padded panty brief, a waist nipper, and several pairs of pantyhose. I stood at the counter, cheeks burning, feeling like a neon sign blaring my secret. Mom's lips twitched, holding back a grin, but she said nothing until we left. You're doing better than I expected, Zoe. After lunch, we'll hit up some skirts, blouses, dresses, maybe girls' jeans and shoes. I nodded, resigned, and we kept going, even stopping to get my ears pierced on the way out. The sharp sting a small price for the sparkling studs now glinting in my lobes. Back home, I was more at ease, but when I reached for my old clothes, Mom stopped me. No, Zoe, in 10 days, these new clothes are all you'll have. Get used to it. Her words lingered, and by Monday, slipping back into my guy clothes for school felt wrong, like wearing someone else's skin. After just 2 days in skirts, the shift was jarring. At school, Sean pulled Eli and me aside, his voice low with excitement. It's done. I got us new ID cards and moved me and Eli to the co-ed dorm, rooming together. You're Zoe, I'm Sierra, and Eli's Tessa. He vetoed Francis. Eli smirked, nodding. Tessa's got more vibe. Sean had already plugged our new names into the database, tying our grades to them. Once he added photos, there'd be no undoing it, not without quitting, and none of us could stomach that. 9 days left until we were girls for good. I hadn't seen Eli or Sean dressed yet, but Sean let slip he'd tried it, and didn't look half bad. Eli, the stockiest of us, was coy, hinting we'd be surprised. I pictured him pulling it off flawlessly, maybe even outshining us. When break started, I faced the hair removal cream again, its burn a grim ritual. Mom took it further this time, dyeing my hair a rich brunette and trimming it into soft waves that curled at my neck and framed my ears. It was shorter than it had been since high school, yet undeniably feminine. I slipped into a sleek sheath dress, low heels and earrings, the padded underpinnings sculpting a figure I barely recognized. My legs, once scrawny, now had a graceful curve that caught my eye in the mirror. I wasn't thrilled to be a girl, but I wasn't a two-bagger either. No need for a bag over my head or one to puke in. Eager to see the others, I asked Mom if she wanted to come along. She agreed, and I grabbed my purse, driving 2 hours to Sean's place. His mom opened the door, and behind her stood a girl who stole my breath. Auburn curls framed a radiant face, red lipstick accentuating a wide smile. Her green dress hugged a figure that could stop traffic-curved hips, defined waist, breasts straining against the fabric. She waved, red nails flashing, and I blinked, stunned. "Zoe, meet Sierra," Sean's mom said. I gaped. "Sean, that's you!" She laughed, voice light but confident. "Sierra from now on, Zoe. Might as well start now." She suggested we visit Tessa, a half-hour drive away. Sierra grabbed her purse, and the four of us piled into the car. "You look incredible, Sierra," I said, curiosity burning. "Have you done this before?" She nodded, casual as if discussing the weather. "Yeah, a lot. Grew up dressing like this whenever I could. Even went on a date once. It's not bad once you get the hang of it." Her words floored me. She'd been doing this for years. Suddenly, it clicked. Sierra must have been the one who suggested this plan. It made sense. Her ease, her poise. I kept that to myself as we pulled into Tessa's driveway. Tessa strode across the lawn, her skirt and top simple but sharp, flats practical. Her short hair was styled in a tousled mop top that suited her surprisingly well. She didn't look like the knockout Sierra was, but she held her own, better than I'd expected. We gathered on her patio, our moms joining us, and Mom laid it out again, the risks, the reality of what we were diving into. Sierra's confidence was unshakable, and though I felt a flicker of absurdity standing there in my dress, I couldn't back out. Not after seeing myself, not after Mom's investment. Tessa grinned, but I sensed her reluctance she was in because Sierra and I were, not because she wanted this. Still, it was settled. Our moms weren't thrilled, but they understood why we needed this, and that's why they'd signed on. 2 days later, Sierra called. "Time to enroll, Zoe." I chose a crisp skirt and blouse, checked my makeup in the mirror, and drove to campus. My pulse racing, but my resolve locked in. Sierra snapped my picture with a quick flash, handed me my new student ID, and slid my transcripts across the desk. My old grades now stamped with Zoe at the top. "Tessa and I are moving into the co-ed dorm tomorrow," she said, her voice bright with purpose. "Can you help?" I nodded, promising to be there, and left campus, my new ID burning a hole in my purse. On a whim, I swung by the DMV, heart pounding as I handed over my ID and claimed I'd lost my driver's license. They didn't blink, just issued a new one, marking me as female. I stared at it, the weight of it sinking in with this and my school ID. I could live as Zoe anywhere, do anything, as long as I didn't mess up. I showed it to Mom when I got home, and she just smiled, a quiet approval in her eyes. The next day, I pulled my hair into a high ponytail, slipped into my new girl's jeans and a fitted top, and headed to help Sierra and Tessa move. We were hauling boxes into the dorm when three jocks' broad shoulders, easy grins stopped us. "Looks like you ladies could use some muscle," one said. "I'm Jake. That's Colton, and the big guy's Logan." They grabbed the heavy stuff, leaving us with lighter boxes, and in no time, their room was set. As we dusted off our hands, Logan turned to Sierra, his smile bold. "How about pizza tonight, all three of you?" Sierra didn't miss a beat, touching his arm with a flirty grin. "Sure, but give us a couple hours to unpack." When they left, Tessa spun on her, eyes wide. "Are you nuts, Sierra, if they figure us out?" I cut in, my voice sharper than I meant. "Tessa, if we can't handle this now, we never will. They saw us sweaty and hauling boxes, and they still asked us out. If we clean up, go with them, and pull it off, we're golden. You're not planning to hide in this dorm for 3 years, are you?" I flashed my new driver's license, and Sierra's grin widened, while Tessa's nerves flickered but settled. She nodded, and we split up to get ready. I raced home, showered, and slipped into a dressy skirt and blouse, the waist nipper and padded panty brief sculpting me into Zoe. My makeup went on smoother now, practice making it second nature, and I styled my hair into soft waves. Mom poked her head in, eyebrow raised. "What's the rush, Zoe?" I grinned, a little sheepish. "The guys invited us for pizza." She laughed softly and left me to finish. The doorbell chimed as I descended the stairs, and there was Jake, all easy charm and warm eyes. Mom let him in, and his smile widened when he saw me. I grabbed my purse, and he took my hand, his grip light but sure as we said goodbye to Mom. At the pizza place, Tessa, Sierra, Logan, and Colton were already there, laughing over pitchers of beer. Sierra took charge, spinning a story about us transferring in, and when Logan asked where she'd been before, she told the truth, our school, our town, just bent to fit her as Sierra. It was a brilliant move. Truth kept lies from tripping us up. Jake was funny, not the jerk I'd known when I was Zach, and I caught Tessa grinning under Colton's casual hand on hers. After a few beers, I asked Jake to take me home, citing Mom's rule about late nights. He draped an arm around me as we left, and the gesture felt strange but nice, like slipping into a role I hadn't auditioned for. At home, Jake asked me to dinner the next Friday, his smile disarming. I thought of all those lonely weekend nights, stuck at home with no one but my books. "I'd like that," I said, closing his truck door with a click. Inside, Mom's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "How was your date?" I shrugged, playing it cool. "Fine. Sierra, Tessa, and I stuck together. Nothing happened." She waited, sensing more, so I spilled. "Jake asked me out for dinner next Friday." Her eyebrow arched. "And you said?" I couldn't hide my smile. "I said yes. Mom, it's my first real date. Ever. I couldn't say no." She didn't push, just nodded. And I floated to my room, buzzing with a feeling I couldn't name. Sierra called later, asking to stop by the next day, and I agreed. At school, I wore jeans, a top, and gym shoes, spotting Tessa with Colton twice, her laughter bright and unguarded. After classes, Sierra and Tessa piled into my room, door shut, and Sierra dropped a bombshell. "Have you guys gotten, hard while dressed?" Tessa blushed, admitting it happened when Colton kissed her. My jaw dropped, she'd kissed him already. Sierra grinned, undeterred. "I found a fix. It stops that and makes us look better in tight clothes." She slipped off her skirt and panties, revealing what looked like a real vagina, running a finger along it with a smirk. "My mom did it. She's a nurse." Tessa, eyes wide, demanded details, and Sierra handed us a sheet of instructions. "If you want it done right, my mom can help." Tessa nodded eagerly, and I, caught in the momentum, agreed too. We set it for Saturday at Sierra's. The ease of slipping into Zoe's life hit me hard. I'd accepted a date with Jake after days as a girl, and now I was ready to erase the last trace of Zach. Mom's warnings echoed. Could I go back? Did I want to? I knew one thing to be Zoe fully. I needed more than padding. Breasts, real enough to pass, were next, and I'd ask Sierra about it Saturday. I found Mom in the family room, her embroidery paused. "Are you mad at me?" I asked, voice small. She set her work down, patting the couch. "No, Zoe, sit." I did, and she continued. "I'm just surprised at how easily you've taken to this. You went out with Jake, said yes to another date. Does that sound like my son?" I shook my head, and she pressed on. "You like it, don't you? The clothes, the attention, how you're treated?" I swallowed, nodding. "I do. I didn't expect to. But I look better than ever, and I have friends now." She grinned. "Has Jake kissed you?" I shook my head, but admitted, "I've thought about it." Her expression softened. "You won't go back to being Zach. Not easily, maybe not ever. We need to make you more convincing. Those birdseed bags won't cut it if you're dating. Boys notice." I told her about Sierra's fix and my plan to ask about breasts. Mom nodded, unfazed, and I left to tackle my homework, her words a quiet anchor. The next day, Tessa caught me between classes, urgent. Come to the dorm after school. There, she and Sierra were practically glowing. Tessa handed me a vial of liquid and a needle, her grin electric. Tessa held up the vial, its clear liquid catching the dorm's dim light. This is estrogen, the real deal, refined after years of research. It works like natural estrogen, reshaping your body the way it does for women: smaller waist, softer skin, wider hips, rounder butt. And yeah, breasts. Her eyes gleamed with the fervor of a chemical engineering student who'd cracked a code. In trials, guys hit full transformation in 4 months, not the 2 years it used to take. Think about it, Zoe. This could be huge, and not just for us. I trusted Tessa's brain she wouldn't bullshit us about something like this. Staring at the vial, I caught the knowing looks on their faces. They'd already taken it, no question. Tessa went on, her voice steady but electric. The professor said it's all about family genetics. If the women in your family have curvy hips, you'll likely get them. Small boobs? That's probably your fate too. Basically, you'll end up with the body you would have had if you'd been born a girl. She grinned, confirming my suspicion. Sierra and I already took ours. This one's for you. She filled the needle with practiced ease, and I rolled up my sleeve, my pulse quick but steady. The prick was nothing, a fleeting sting, and it was done. I didn't tell Mom when I got home, just brushed off her questions about breast forms. I'll manage, I said, keeping the shot to myself. Tessa, who I'd pegged as the reluctant one, was now a whirlwind, practically glued to Colton's side, giggling like a schoolgirl whenever he was near. The shift was jarring. She'd gone from hesitant to all in, fawning over him so much, I wondered if she'd doubled her dose. Sierra was steadier, seeing Logan now and then, while my dates with Jake were just as sporadic. But we were all changing, and not just physically. The lines between Zach, Sean, and Eli were blurring, replaced by Zoe, Sierra, and Tessa, in ways that felt permanent. I barely recognized them or myself. Friday after school, I sank into a bubble bath, the warm foam soothing my skin. As I scrubbed, I noticed a slight swelling on my chest, tender and unfamiliar. I chalked it up to the bra's constant pressure, nothing more. I shaved carefully, my skin silky under my fingers, and stepped out feeling ready. I slipped into a sleek dress, the fabric hugging my waist, and did my makeup with a confidence that was starting to feel natural. My hair fell in soft waves, framing my face, and as I checked the mirror, Zoe stared back, poised, real. Jake would be here soon, and for the first time, I wasn't just playing a part. I was stepping into it, ready to see where this night and this life would take me. I slipped into the lilac skirt, pairing it with a crisp white blouse and Mom's purple sweater, the soft knit hugging my frame. My makeup routine was second nature now, each brushstroke precise, and I pinned my hair back with matching barrettes, the brunette waves catching the light. A spritz of perfume, a slick of lipstick, and I was ready, descending the stairs to wait for Jake. When he arrived, he greeted Mom with a polite nod, his presence filling the room. We headed to the restaurant, and once again, he was all charm, no trace of the brash jock who'd taunted Zach. It puzzled me. He'd targeted me before, but as Zoe, he was different, respectful, his brown eyes warm and disarming. At 6 foot something, with hands twice the size of mine, and strength to match, he could have intimidated me, but that megawatt smile melted any resolve I had for revenge, turning my insides to a giddy, girlish flutter. At the house, after dinner, he pulled up, and before I could think, I leaned in and kissed him. My knees locked, my body tensing as his lips met mine. But then I softened, letting him draw me closer. His hand grazed toward my chest, but I pushed him back, heart racing, and slipped out of the truck with a quick, "Thank you." I bolted inside, every nerve alight, desire clashing with the stark truth I was still a boy, just like him. In my room, peeling off the skirt, I craved more than ever to have real breasts, a real body. I wanted what Sierra had, a convincing facade, even if it wasn't real. A fake vagina would do, because Jake would believe it, and that was enough. Sierra, Tessa, and I, brunette, auburn blonde, had gone from nerdy outcasts to young women with lives pulling us apart. Sierra was already woven into a clique of girls, welcomed into their world, her secret safe. Tessa and Colton were inseparable, her giggles following his every move. Jake made me feel delicate, wanted, and I caught myself prioritizing his interests over mine, a shift I hadn't expected. In just a month, my body was transforming fast. My breasts, now a full A cup, pressed against my tops, making the padded forms obsolete. My hips flared, my waist narrowed, and the panty brief felt redundant. A constant tingle ran through me, a sign of changes I couldn't hide much longer. I'd have to tell Mom soon. With Jake at practice, I buried myself in studies, often in a nightgown, the soft fabric kinder to my sensitive skin. One night, I wore a satin baby doll, its tiny panties snug as I hunched over my desk, notes glowing on my laptop. I didn't hear Mom until her gasp jolted me. "What have you done, Zoe?" My breasts, unmistakable under the sheer satin, told the story. I turned, facing her. "Sit, Mom." Standing, I let her see it all: smooth skin, wider hips, rounder butt, budding breasts. "I took a hormone shot," I admitted. "Tessa worked on it in a lab. 1 dose replaces 2 years of therapy. No side effects. Sierra and I took it too, and look at me 1 month, and I'm almost done with the padding." Mom's eyes narrowed. Resigned, but probing. "One shot did this when—" I grinned, proud. "A month ago." Tessa said it's a game changer. She leaned back, elbows on the bed. "There's more, isn't there?" I nodded. "Sierra's mom, a nurse, gave her a realistic fix down there. I saw it. She looks like any girl." Mom's brow arched. "And you want that too, because of Jake." I flushed, her guess too sharp. "You're past platonic with him, aren't you? You want to be ready if his hands wander." I couldn't deny it. "I warned you," she said. "There's no going back." "You're practically a girl now. What am I supposed to say? No." "Of course Sierra's mom can help. You've left me no choice." She stood, wrapping me in a hug. "I know, honey. You finally feel like you belong, even as Zoe." I pulled back, meeting her eyes. "It's more, Mom. I want to be a girl, a real one, like you. When Jake holds me, I want more. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, like Sierra." Tears spilled, and I collapsed into her arms, sobbing, sure she was furious. But she held me, whispering, "I knew, Zoe. You glowed on that date with Jake. Only girls glow like that. If this is what you want, let's talk to Sierra's mom, then hit the salon. We'll make you even more beautiful." We talked late, and after calling Sierra, I fell into bed, the weight of my choice settling like a promise. Friday night, Tessa and I piled into my car with Mom, while Sierra and Tessa rode together, headed for Sierra's house. Sierra's mom, all brisk efficiency, got straight to work. With Mom watching, she manipulated my body with clinical precision, a few sharp twinges the only discomfort. 20 minutes later, I stood, staring at my reflection, undeniably female from every angle. Tessa went next, emerging just as transformed. On the patio, we compared notes, laughing and marveling. My changes from the hormone shot outpaced theirs: fuller hips, rounder curves, and I couldn't help but gloat a little, a rare rush of confidence swelling in me. As Mom and I walked to the car, the absence of my old anatomy felt liberating, my knees brushing together effortlessly. But on the drive home, Mom laid down the law: hygiene was non-negotiable, and since I looked like a girl now, I'd wear a pad 5 days a week, like all girls. I argued, but it was like shouting into a storm. We stopped at a drugstore, and the second we got home, she handed me one, insisting I put it on. It felt bulky, intrusive, a reminder of my old life, but after an hour, I barely noticed it. Saturday morning, Mom and I hit her salon for my first full makeover. They sat me in a chair, introducing me as Zoe, and went to work. Eyebrows were tweezed into delicate arches, my hair trimmed, layered, and dyed a deeper brunette before being set in rollers. Under the dryer, my nails were shaped and painted a glossy red. Then came the makeup flawless foundation, smoky eyes, and lips to match my nails. When they removed the rollers, my hair cascaded in perfect waves, framing a face I barely recognized. I felt like I'd crossed a threshold, fully a woman in a way I hadn't before. I never wanted to go back to being Zach. Mom, sporting a chic bob with curls, looked radiant too, and we left the salon buzzing with new confidence. In the car, Mom dropped a bombshell. "I have a date tonight, Zoe." I blinked, stunned. Mom never dated, always claiming she had no time. "His name's Steve," she said. "Met him at a company meeting. He's building an office nearby. A widower with 2 sons, a bit older than you." "I think you'll like him," I sputtered. "You said you wouldn't date." She smiled unfazed. "You're in college now, Zoe. Soon you'll be gone, and I'll be alone. Steve's kind, and I deserve someone, don't you think?" I nodded grudgingly. "He has sons, Dylan and Landon. Landon's in the Navy. Dylan's a junior at Central." She paused. "They'd be like older brothers." My mind reeled. "Are you marrying him?" She laughed. "We've talked about it, but he hasn't proposed. I didn't tell you earlier because you had enough going on. But now, with your future set, it's time you met him. Steve and Dylan are taking us to dinner tonight." Mom had been my rock since Dad died when I was 7. She deserved this, but it shook me. She suggested I wear my black dress to make a good impression, and I didn't argue. At home, I sank into a bubble bath, shaving meticulously until my skin was flawless. In my room, I slipped into black panties and a lace-trimmed corselet, its demi-cups lifting my budding breasts. Black pantyhose hugged my legs, and I zipped up the sleek black dress, stepping into heels. A gold choker and pendant earrings gleamed against my skin, and a spritz of perfume tied it together. I painted my lips red, then tugged my breasts up for a hint of cleavage, feeling every bit the woman I was becoming. Mom looked stunning in a tan silk sheath, pearls accentuating her own subtle cleavage. We exchanged grins, ready for the night. Steve and Dylan arrived, and I opened the door to a man shorter than Jake, with short brown hair, green eyes, and a warm smile. Dylan, his near clone with blue eyes, mirrored his father's politeness. At dinner, Mom and Steve were lost in each other, their connection palpable. Dylan and I chatted about school and friends, his initial spark of interest fading when I mentioned Jake. We settled into an easy rhythm, enjoying the evening as allies, not rivals. For the first time, I saw Mom not just as my anchor, but as a woman with her own desires, and I felt Zoe settling deeper into my bones, ready for whatever came next. That night, I collapsed into bed, my mind swirling with thoughts of Mom's date with Steve. Would he be my new dad? The question lingered as I drifted into a bizarre dream. Tessa, Sierra, and I sat on a couch at a party, chatting as girls. But our old selves, Eli, Sean, and Zach, stood behind us, staring, bewildered at our transformation. Then, Colton swept Tessa onto the dance floor, her face lit with joy, and her male shadow vanished. Sierra followed, tugged away to dance, her old self dissolving too. I watched, heart pounding, as Jake slid beside me, his arm curling around my shoulder. He pulled me close, and just like that, Zach was gone. I jolted awake, sitting upright in the dark, my breath ragged. I tried to chase the dream's ending, but it slipped away, leaving me restless and uneasy, questioning what I was becoming. Exhausted, I dragged myself to classes, looking like I'd been through a storm. 2 days later, Jake invited me to a frat party. I kept the dream to myself, brushing off its eerie weight. Saturday night, I slipped into my black dress, the lace corselet and pantyhose molding me into Zoe. At the party, I faced people who'd once tormented me, their old disdain replaced by smiles and small talk. I played along, my grin masking the surrealness of it all. Then it unfolded like a replay, Tessa, Sierra, and I on a couch. Tessa whisked away by Colton, Sierra vanishing into the crowd. Jake settled beside me, his arm warm around my shoulders, pulling me close. I braced for a kiss, but instead, he dropped a bombshell. Zoe, I'm quitting school. Got an offer from the pros I can't turn down. His hand brushed my hair back, his eyes intense. I want you to come with me. I froze, my voice catching. Jake, are you asking me to marry you? He looked away, then back, his words careful. Not exactly. I was thinking we could live together. My heart sank. No, Jake. I have to finish school, and I can't live with you. The truth, my truth, made it impossible. If we got too close, he'd know I wasn't what I seemed. I'm not. I can't, I stammered, grabbing my purse and bolting from the frat house, tears stinging my eyes. I walked 3 blocks, heels clicking in the quiet night, until Tessa's car pulled up. Get in, Zoe, she said softly. On the drive, I spilled it all. Jake asked me to live with him. He's going pro. Tessa's eyes flicked to me. And if you went, he'd find out, right? I nodded, miserable. What if he loves you enough to accept it? Maybe you could tell him, work it out, I scoffed, voice thick. Or he could beat me senseless and tell everyone. I'd be worse off than before. Tessa sighed. Maybe, but maybe not. Let me talk to him, see how he feels. Okay, I agreed, too drained to argue. Tessa spoke to Jake, but in the end, he left for the pros, and I stayed behind, my heart bruised, but my resolve firm. Sierra and Tessa confided they'd found ways to keep Colton and Logan happy, their relationships thriving despite our shared secret. But we were still boys, and that truth gnawed at me. Depression settled in, heavy and familiar, eased only slightly when Mom announced she and Steve were getting married. I dated other guys, keeping them at arm's length, guarding my heart from another Jake-sized wound. Mom noticed my withdrawal and finally cornered me in my bedroom. Zoe, what's wrong? She demanded. I broke, tears spilling as I unleashed everything, the unfairness of it all. I'd been a boy who never fit in, then a girl who was wanted, desired, even asked to share a life. But I couldn't, not as a boy in a girl's body. My skin was silk, my B-cup breasts real, my hips curved and full, better than some girls. Yet I wasn't whole. I look like a girl, act like one, but I'm not, I sobbed. I know how to please a guy, but anything more I can't. And I want to, Mom. I want to be with someone, like you and Steve. She tried to soothe me, insisting it would be okay, but her words felt hollow. She and Steve were building a life, their intimacy a stark contrast to my struggle. I'd never imagined wanting a man, not like this, not until Jake. Now the ache was undeniable, and I was caught between who I was and who I wanted to be, unsure if I'd ever bridge the gap. Summer loomed just a week away, and my junior year, the pivotal one for my master's track, was fast approaching. I had no plans, adrift in uncertainty, until Mom mentioned Steve's offer a summer job at his company. It felt like a small lifeline, but then she added, Steve might be able to help you, Zoe. He has connections. My stomach dropped. Mom, you told him! I nearly shouted. She didn't flinch. How could I not? If we marry, he'd find out eventually. Hospital visits, accidents, anything could expose you. It was better I told him than him discovering it some other way. You know I'm right. Her logic was ironclad, but it stung. I'm calling Steve over, she said. We'll explain together and see what he says. I nodded, dread pooling in my chest. Steve listened calmly as we recounted everything from the bullying that sparked this to the hormone shot and my new body. Shame reduced me to nothing, but he crossed the room, wrapping me in a steady hug. I never had a daughter, he said, his voice warm. I'm thrilled to have you as my one and only. No more talk of being less than nothing. You're a wonderful girl, Zoe. He mentioned a golf buddy, a doctor who could help, and offered to arrange it. I agreed, too overwhelmed to argue. The appointment was set for 3 weeks later, leaving me in limbo. Meanwhile, Sierra and Tessa confided they'd spent nights with Colton and Logan, keeping their secrets through careful maneuvers. Their lives revolved around their boyfriends, pulling us further apart. Dylan and I tried hanging out, but there was no spark, just friendly dead ends. The doctor, skeptical at first, examined me and called colleagues about the shot. His face shifted from doubt to astonishment. Normally, stopping hormones lets your body revert, he said. But this shot, it's permanent. Your body's default is female now. It'll always try to stay that way. So, the question is, do you want to be a complete woman? One question, one answer. I nodded. And 2 weeks later, the surgery was done. Recovery was a wobbly month, but by the time I started at Steve's company, I felt whole. No more hiding, no more fear of discovery. I was Zoe, fully, and the pain was worth the elation. Mom and Steve married that fall, and I stood as her maid of honor, radiant in my gown. While they honeymooned, Dylan and I kept each other company, an easy camaraderie. Then Jake called, a month into the semester. He'd been cut from the pros and was back at college. Dylan teased me, calling me a lovesick girl, and I couldn't argue. 2 months post-surgery, the doctor gave me the all-clear I could function like any woman. That weekend, Jake found out just how real Zoe was. I hadn't planned it, but curiosity and desire won out. It was electric, perfect, and I kept it to myself, though Jake must have talked, because Sierra and Tessa cornered me, eyes gleaming with questions. I brushed them off, and they didn't push. I graduated, Jake a term later. I joined Steve's tech firm, while Jake taught high school English. Tessa and Sierra completed their transitions post-graduation, and we stayed friends, bound by our unlikely journey. 3 nerds, once outcasts, had rewritten our lives. As Zoe, I never looked back. But that night, as I slipped into a slinky outfit for Jake's return, a letter arrived, tucked in the mail with no return address. Inside, a single line in sharp, unfamiliar handwriting. I know who you were, Zoe, and I'm watching. My breath caught, the room tilting. Jake's key turned in the lock, his voice calling my name, but my eyes stayed glued to the note, its threat coiling tight around my new life.